Hey, and welcome back to another devlog. This week, I have managed to add some important but small updates. Just before we start the video, I just wanted to thank all the people that joined the live streams. It was really fun to connect with you guys, and all the different suggestions that I've got were amazing. Okay, so I will start with the new textures that I have managed to add and make during the live streams. I have added a new and probably the last character to the game. So the last player character that's going to be available is a skeleton player. Yeah, I know all the build-up wasn't really worth it. Anyway, for the last player character, I just wanted to make it different from all the other characters. For the hairstyle part of the character, I wasn't really sure what kind of hairstyles would the character have. As you know, usually with skeletons, they don't really have any hair. Here's where the live stream came in handy. One of the viewers suggested that one of the hairstyles could be an arrow that was shot through the skeleton's head. I really liked this idea, so I quickly drew it in Sprite and added it into the game. I think in the end, it looked quite good. Thanks a lot, Craig. For the next two hairstyles, I have decided to add a crown. I don't know, I was thinking maybe the skeleton was the king before he died or something. And added some horns as well as the last hairstyle. Okay, so once all the textures were added, this was the final result. For player customization, we now have 4 different choices of different types of characters. And we have 3 different unique hairstyles for each of the characters. For the future, I will try to work on maybe some kind of a color shader that I mentioned in the previous devlog, so that the player could choose to apply different colors to this basic clothing that we can see now on the different characters. For now, I was kind of thinking just to keep the clothing customization to a minimum, and maybe later on in the game, the player could equip different types of clothing and stuff, and maybe choose the colors for them also. Okay, so the other thing that I have worked on was the first NPC of the game. The purpose of having these NPCs in the game is that some of the NPCs would give certain unique quests to the player. I drew up a quick wizard NPC character and added it to the game, and I added a basic chat system to it. The chat system works in a way that if the player is in a certain distance from the NPC, the player can press a certain button and talk with the said NPC. For now, I only have a simple chat text box, which just contains some text. Later on, I will try to set up some kind of a first quest that the player would need to complete before the player can start the game. The last thing I did this week was that I configured the jumping logic of the player and the pet. Now, whenever the player jumps on top of the pet, the player kind of gets an extra jumping boost. With this extra boost, the player can have a higher jump. What I was thinking to do is that the player would need a certain pet at a certain situation to do a certain thing. Confusing, I know, but let me explain. Okay, for example, the player approaches a tall obstacle and the player can't get over it, or like can't jump over it. So, because the obstacle is too high. Now, this is where the pet comes in handy. If the player jumps on the pet kind of gives the player a jump boost, and then the player can make it over the obstacle. I thought this would be a pretty cool idea how to make the pets more useful. I was kind of thinking to do as well that, let's say different types of pets would have maybe different kind of jump boosts or different strengths of jump boosts. That's all that I've managed to do this week. It seems really not much, but I think that we managed to add some important features and textures once again. Anyways, for the next week's devlog, I will try to configure the NPC quest system and perhaps add the color shader to the clothing. It really depends on how hard it is to implement it and how much time will I have the next week. I will try to stream the development here on YouTube. I'm always posting on my socials a few minutes before I start streaming, so if you're interested, be sure to follow my Instagram and Twitter. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next devlog. Bye.